production, master data, bill of materials, bill of material, material bill of material, and then we're going to go into create. So CS01. So here, instead of my wheel assembly, because I'm going to go down here, I'm going to go down to my touring bike. So I'm going to do, I think it's DXTR 3098. It's my Dallas 98 still, and it's my production. The valid is going to be because I'm creating it today. So anything that I produce after today this bill of material will be valid for. Step 1.5.12 says click copy. So I'm going to click on copy here. And my copy function comes up, copy from. So I go down, it says copy from pop-up, enter the following information, should be original. So I'm copying from DXTR 3000. And I'm copying from the original Dallas plant because 98 doesn't really exist. I mean, 3000 doesn't exist in 98, right? So we've got this Dallas, we're production. So basically what's happening, we're going to copy the bill of material for this into our own show. Okay? So we're going to hit on the enter button here, the check mark. And this is going to come up. I don't know if yours came up this way or it should. Oh, yeah, it did. So then what we're going to do, this is 3000, which is the original. All these are original. So what we're going to do is we're going to select all of them. So there's just this icon here, and all of these materials are selected. So we're still in that copy from. And we're going to click on this copy function right here. And once we do that, we are now in our material. So we're in our material, our plant. That first item for the bill of material, it says in red letters, if you look at the bottom, is not maintained in our plant. Well, that's correct. We don't have this original in our plant. What do we have in our original? In our plant, we have our 2-digit. So I'm going to go into each one. I'm going to change it, and then I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to go to the second component, which is that touring frame. I don't have the original. I have my item. I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to keep changing just my item for every one that's an original. Okay, what happened here?
When I hit enter, it took me to that screen. It didn't like change the component to the other materials.
I just went back, huh? All right, I was able to get past it. I don't know what happened there. I don't know who said that, but were you able to get past it?
Yeah, I just went back and now it's working. Thanks.
Okay. Same thing with me. Okay. So you should get to this point here where you have your 10 components, right? 10 to 100, and all of your 10 components here. So let's check them out. It should be your TRW 108, the frame 3098, your everything should be yours. And then if I move over to the right, it should tell me the quantity of everything, which should match up to the original bill of material we had in our PowerPoint slide. And you'll notice the wheel assembly should be 2, which is right. Okay. And the touring frame should be 1, the gear assembly, seat, handlebar, pedal assembly, chain, brake kit, warranty document, and packaging. So it matches up to this bill of material as well. Okay, so you guys should be good here. So let's go back to see what we have to do. So after you're done with all of that, you're going to hit save. And it should at the bottom tell you DXTR30, your 2 digits has been created. Okay, so now we are going to go to now we're going to go to create product routings. And so we're here in this section. So we're in section 1.6. So I can go back out here. So in this section, you copy the product routings for your wheel assembly and your touring bike. So does anyone remember what the routing is, the product routing? So if you remember from our class discussion here, when we talked about it, we talked about how we would have the bill of material, but then we talked a little bit about how does the product get produced. And so we have this conveyor belt, and it's first assembled, then it moves over the conveyor belt to inspection and then to packaging. So this is how you produce your final product. For your semi-finished, it just does assembly and then that's it, right? It just assembles it and moves it over to the semi-finished good. Then the finished good actually has an inspection to it and a packaging of it. Okay, so this is kind of your product routing where you would have various operations and then sequences like material staging, testing, packing, whatever it may be. And then you'll have work centers and times and how long does it take. So everything kind of is assembled this way. So for the touring assembly, we only have 3 things that we're doing, which is through the assembly, and that's it. Whereas the finished good has assembly, inspection, and packaging. So there's 3 different work centers, meaning resources are applied for 3 different areas. Okay, so that's what we're going to do now is we're going to identify the routing for each one of our items. And so I'm going to go back here. And so we are in this, we're going to do logistics, production, master data. We're going to go down to routings here, standard routings, and then your question number 28, 29, and 30 are here, 28, 29, and 30. And so we're going to go to create CA01. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put in my aluminum wheel assembly, so TRWA 1098. I'm going to put in my Dallas plant, and then it says under group, clear it out. So make sure there's nothing in this field. So under group, there should be nothing. Okay, we are going to create that in a minute, but right now we have nothing. So we're going to use the copy from, and we're going to select routing. And then we are going to say, where are we copying this from? And so we're going to copy from the original. So we're going to do TRWA 1000, the original. Our plant is going to be the original. And that's all we have to do here. So we're copying the routing that's located for this item into our product. So we're going to hit the check mark here to continue. And we are going to be here. So this counter group now has populated itself. So it created a counter group. Okay. And what it's asking us to do is change this description here to 98. And down here, the usage is always going to be for production because that's what we created everything for. The overall status needs to be changed. So we're going to open that up and it's going to be released in parentheses general. So we're going to go down to say released general. That's number 4. We're going to hit enter. And it's going to say a couple of warnings. And it's going to do that for every activity we have set up for the touring bike. I mean, the aluminum wheel. So I'm going to hit the enter and you can see I'm bypassing this here because I'm not adding anything here. I'm still in activity 10, material staging. I'm going to hit enter, 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 and now I'm in activity 20, assemble components for the wheel assembly. I'm going to hit enter, 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 and now I'm in that third activity, move to storage for the semi-finished good. I'm going to hit enter 3 times, and I get to this stage right here. Once I am done with that and I get to this stage, I'm going to hit save. Notice this group number shows up, and we'll talk a little bit about it and we'll find it a little bit later. Okay, and I'll show you how to find that later. So now let's do the finished good. So now we're going to create another material. We're going to do the routing for the DXTR3098. It's still in our plant. Remember, we don't want any group numbers, so we're going to remove out that group number. And we're going to click on that copy from. We're going to still do routing. And now where are we copying from? DXTR 3000. The plant is our original plant, DL00. I'm going to hit the check mark, continue. I am here. My group counter has been created. The group number has not been created yet. It will in a minute. I'm going to change this 00 to 98. I'm going to go down here to where it says overall status, and I'm going to change that to 4, which is actually released general. And then I am going to hit enter. When I do that, now I'm for the bike. Remember, the bike has a lot of activities, almost like 10 or 11. So we're here at the material staging, and I have to bypass some warnings. So I'm going to hit enter, enter, enter 3 times, and now I'm in activity 20. Attach the seat to the frame. I'm just going to bypass these warnings, enter, enter, enter. I'm now at activity 30. Attach the handlebar assembly. I'm going to hit enter 3 times to get out of this warning. I'm now at activity 40. Attach the gear assembly to the wheel and bypass these warnings. I'm now at activity 5. This tells me it's 5 minutes of labor. Attach the front and rear wheels to the chain. I'm going to hit enter and bypass these warnings. Assembly, attaching the brakes. It's about 2 minutes of labor. I'm going to bypass this. Warning. 70, attaching the pedals. I'm going to bypass this. It's about a 2-minute job here. Now I'm in inspection. So my work center is inspection. I'm still in my plant. I'm testing the bike. It takes about 2 machines, a machine that takes 2 minutes and labor about 5 minutes. So I'm going to bypass some of these. I'm in packaging now. So the inspection is done. I'm now in packaging. They're going to disassemble. So it's about 5 minutes. I'm going to enter, bypass the warnings. Now I'm unpacking the bike, right? That's where and now I'm in moving it to storage, 11. And I bypass that. And now I should get to this screen. These are your routing, right? It's how the product is routed to get to the finished product. So how do we route the materials to be produced? We assemble it, we inspect it, we package it. Okay? So now you are going to hit save. And you get a group number. And I'll show you a little bit later how you can get that group number from another way because we're going to need it. Okay, but it created its own group number for you. So you should be able to answer 31 on your own. I want you to understand that and get that, what's the importance of routing in your own words. So now we're here in section 1.7, and we have to create production version. So this is really important because we have to create that, and that's what the views need. So in MRP, it's going to need that information. You need to have your bill of materials created first, and then you would create production versions for that. Okay. So basically, the bill of material determination is only possible with the creation of production versions. So you need to have your bill of materials created, and then you create production versions based off of that. So you'll need to reference your materials routing to find their group and group counter values. So let's just say we don't know what that is, right? So let's just say we're going to go into CA03, which is where we have to go for display. That's pretty much the standard routing, and we're going to display. And we're going to put in TRWA 1098. We're going to put our Dallas plant, and we're going to clear out that group number. We're going to hit continue. And this is what we just created. We created this routing. Okay, so it's displaying the routing for us, but we don't know what the group number or the group counter is. And so we're going to select this top hat, this header, okay, this icon, and it's going to give us some information. It's going to give us the group number and the group counter, okay? So this is all the stuff that you already put in there. So you can actually change number 32, right, to what you need, which is your wheel assembly counter. So I am going to change mine. And then your group counter is 1. And then we're going to hit 2 times 1, 2. And so we're back here. We're going to put in DXTR3098 because that's our bike. We're going to remove out the group counter.
What page are we on? Like the transaction code? Is it CA01?
CA03.
Oh. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So we're here. I have DXTR3098. DL98 is for my Dallas plant. I'm going to clear out the group. I'm going to hit continue. This is my routing. I'm displaying it. So if I want to get the counter information, it's not going to be visible. So I have to click on that top hat. And I'm going to get my counter information. So that is the answer to 34 and 35.
Professor, I have a question.
Okay.
Did you have the same number both times?
No.
Okay.
You should have 2 different group numbers.
Mine are the same, but my group counter is different.
So what happened is you didn't remove out the group number when you created the bike. So now you have the same group number, but a counter that's different. So what I'm going to have you do is go back and do the routing again. For one item. I guess it's the bike, right? Because the wheel assembly has probably 1. Am I correct?
Mm-hmm.
So go back and create it for the bike, the finished good, and make sure you clear out the group so it creates its own group thing.
Okay.
What's the material for the touring wheel assembly? What's the name of it?
What's the code? TRWA10 and then your 2 digits.
Okay.
So I'm going to just wait a few minutes here before we go to the next section. Logistics, production, master data, and under master data, you will see something that says production versions. The transaction code is C223. I'm going to open that up, and it's going to look like this. It should actually be blank. So once you have this here, we're going to put our plant information in, and we're going to put in the material, our material, TRWA1098 for our aluminum wheel assembly. We're going to hit continue. And when we hit continue, the bottom of the page, production versions, will open up. So here we should have no production versions found, which is right. We didn't create any production versions for this. So now we're going to enter that information in. And so here under material, we're going to put in, so be very careful because I was having some trouble with this earlier this morning. So we're going to do TRWA1098. I'm going to tab over to the next screen, which is production versions, and I'm going to put in 01. I'm going to tab over to where it says production version text, and I'm going to enter in this right here, which is, I'm going to type it in, touring wheel assembly PV, production version. I'm going to tab over a few more times until I get to a thing that says BO right here. And so you'll see this little column that says BO. If you hover over it, it's called BOM usage. In that, I'm going to type in 1. I'm going to tab over a few more times, and you'll see a little column called group. This is where I'm going to enter in the group number from my wheel assembly. So that was up here in number 32. So I'm going to type that in 5000172. If you forget what it is, you can always search for it. It's a little bit harder to search for it, but we could. You could search for it using material, right? And then you could have your material here and you could try to search for it. It does take a little bit more time, but I could find my group number here and put that in. And I could then, next one is actually going to be my wheel assembly group counter. So I tab over. The 1 came up automatically because when I found my group number. And then I type in the type column, I'm going to use the drop down and find routing if it doesn't show up already for you. So this is what you should type in. And then after you do that, you're going to hit the continue button at the bottom. You're going to get a warning message saying valid from date is set to current date and valid to set is set to maximum. So basically it's saying that you don't have any dates added here. We're going to automatically add it ourselves and we're going to be okay with that. So we're going to hit continue. And so it automatically populates dates for you. The date is valid from starting today and it's valid all the way up until, indefinite. Meaning this production version we have created is going to be valid forever for us. So then it's going to give you another check the default alternative BOM. That's fine. We're just going to continue. And we're going to finally get to this thing here where the test is kind of like this little area here, which is fine. We're then going to hit save. And when we hit save, this production version is now saved for this material. Okay, so we have a production version called 01, and our view and our bill of material is now updated in the view for this wheel assembly. Okay, so now we're going to go back out using this back button, and we are out here into the easy access screen. So now I'm going to go back into it because I still have to do it for my deluxe bite. Is there someone who's not with me?
I'm not. My Wi-Fi cut out because I'm not home, so I missed like all of it.
Okay, so just hold on to it. You can always do it, once the recording comes through. Allison.
Okay.
Yeah, you can just watch me now and then just do it when you're using the Zoom, the recording.
Okay.
So we're going to go here into the production version, C223. And now we're going to put in the material for the bike. So DL98, we're now going to do DXTR 3098. And it tells me that I need to put the MRP controller to be RDL controller. So right here, I'm going to open it up. There's only one for us right here. It's 000. So I'm going to put that there. Now I'm going to hit continue. And you can see we don't have a production version. So Allison, when you go to do yours, if you hit continue for TRWA, that production version might show up here for if it's saved. If it didn't save, then it will be empty. So here it's telling me that there's no production versions that were found for the bike, which is true. We didn't create it. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to add this information in to that first row. Okay. So I'm going to add in DXTR 3098. Why does mine say 56? That's weird. Oh, because I don't know. That's weird. So then my production version is going to be 01. My production version text is going to be Deluxe Touring Bike Red PV. I'm going to tab over until I find BOM usage, which is this column here. I'm going to put in 1. I'm going to tab over to where it's group. If you know it, that's great. If you don't, you can open it up. So you should know this because it was something that we entered in on 34. But let's just say you forgot or you want to have it entered, find the exact number. You can do search using material. So you can use these 3 buttons, do search using material, put your material number in, your plant, and do a search. And it will show you that you only have one group number associated with it. Okay, so we're going to click on that. Once we click on that, we're just going to double check that the next column, which is group counter, has the number 1 in there because that's kind of what you guys had for question number 35. And then under type, use the drop down to find routing. Okay. So now we have your production version added in there. We're going to hit continue. it's going to give us that error that says you don't have anything valid from to valid to on whether you want this production version to be valid. So we're going to set it for you. That's fine with us. We're going to hit continue. So it's set up the dates. It's telling us to check if there's any alternative bill of materials that you want to attach this production version to, and we don't. So we're going to hit continue. So everything comes up, and then when you get that save button, you're going to hit the save, and it's gone. It's done. Okay, so you're not going to get a confirmation here. So we're done with that, and those production versions will go into the view. Okay, so if I wanted to go check the views in a little bit, I'll see my production versions and my group numbers and things like that show up. So now we are in section 1.8, and we're creating an initial inventory balance. And so this is really important because in your project, you are going to have to create purchase requisitions and actually go through the procurement process to be able to get all of your raw materials that you need. Remember, when we did the inventory balance, you had nothing in your company. You just created the materials, but we have no stock. We didn't purchase these from any supplier. We're going to bypass this whole procurement process. So normally, the planning process would create purchase requisitions for the necessary raw materials. You would then execute the procurement process and obtain these materials. For this exercise, which is Lab 6.2, and for simplicity reasons, we will take a shortcut and create an inventory from heaven. Basically, we're going to say we have these goods and we're going to move them into Dallas then and the appropriate raw materials. So use the table below to calculate that many different materials are needed to make 10 pikes. The first 3 columns include the material description, number, and quantity needed for 1 bike. So we need to complete this column, the quantity needed for 10 bikes. So if you have a brake kit and you need 1 brake kit for 1 bike, the way that it works is if you need it for 10 bikes, you would just time this times the quantity needed times how many bikes you need. So what I did was I took 1 bike, times it by 10. I need 10 brake kits. I need 10 chains, 10 gear assemblies. Here for the hex nut, it says I need 2. Therefore, I'm going to need 20 for 10 bikes because there's 2 for each bike. So I'm going to need 20 of them. Here it says I need 4 lock washers for 1 bike. Therefore, I times it by 10. I need 40 for 10 bikes. Packaging 10, pedal assembly 10. The head bolt, I need 20 for 10 bikes. Touring aluminum wheels, I need 2 for 1 bike, so I need 20 for 10. The frame, I need 10. The handlebar, I need 10. The seat kit, I need 10. The touring tire, I would need 20 and 20 tubes, and then 1 warranty document. Does this make sense to everyone? Because you will have to be doing it yourself for the final project, okay? So remember, the final project, I talk about it all the time because it's independent work. I am demonstrating and doing this with you during the labs. You must be able to do it yourself with no help from me demonstrating what to do, right? So you have to do it yourself. So we're in step 1.8.1. and we're going to follow the navigation path below. So we're going to go into SAP menu, and we're going to go into logistics. We're going to go into materials management here. We're going to go into inventory management here. We're going to go into goods movement here. And we're going to go into goods movement here, MIGO. For those of you that weren't able to do the routing or anything like that, you can all do this. You don't need any of the other stuff to be able to do this with us. So you're going into MIGO, which is the transaction code to create inventory from heaven. Okay, MIGO. So probably this was set up for you like this, okay? So we're going to change this goods receipt. So this, we're going to actually have a goods receipt. We're going to receive goods, but it's not based off of a purchase order. We're going to have an other. We're going to have an other means. So we're going to click on other, make sure it says other. When you do that, that area over here goes away, but I'm going to use my scroll bar and move all the way to the right. And here, I'm going to find 561. So a pop-up will come out and it's saying, well, what kind of movement type? Typically, we have for a purchase order, we have a release. We're going to, release a block stock. We have various things. Well, we're going to find there's lots of ways to move goods in a company. We're going to use 561, and there's two of them, so you want to be careful. We want to pick just regular 561, which is receipt per initial entry of stock balances into unrestricted use. So we are doing that 561. And what we're doing is then we're going to press enter. And when we press enter, you should get an empty space like this. So now what we're going to do, we're going to enter in all of these materials and the quantity needed, okay, the raw materials and all of that. All of this is going to be added into this section here, okay? So let's get started. I'm going to get started. I'm going to do bolt 1098. I'm going to hit enter. When I hit enter, everything kind of will pop up for me. And then I'm going to put in quantity in unrestricted is going to be 20. I'm going to then put here each EA. Storage location is going to be RM90, RM98. I'm going to tab over where it says plant, and I'm going to put my plant Dallas DL98. Okay, I'm going to go down to the second row, and I put my second thing in. So I'm going to do break kit 1098, tab over to how many do I need of this? 10. EA, raw materials 98, tab over DL 98. Okay, so we're just going to keep doing this, everybody.
It's not letting me enter more than four.
Hit enter, hit
What?
enter, and then once you hit enter, see if that opens up the
Okay, thank
ability
you.
to do more.
Okay.
Is it?
Professor,
Mhm.
as I was entering this stuff, I accidentally hit enter and it like did a tip thing popped up and then it changed. Like the screen kind of changed. It doesn't look like it used to. It looks a little
Got it.
weird.
The tip part you can just check through. What does it mean? It looks different. Does it have all the OKs checked up?
I think so. And it like hold on, it like changed the stock types and everything is now like unrestricted and everything like
Yep.
it
That's fine.
doesn't say like the thing. Okay.
Yeah, that's okay. So it looks like this right here. So I'm gonna hit enter really quick. So it kind of looks
Yeah.
like this, right? Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And all the OKs are on checked in.
Yes.
Yep, that's okay. Just double check your work before you post. So once you hit enter, you keep heading, you hit enter until you're ready to post. And then posting is the last thing that we're gonna do. All right, how's everyone doing? When you hit enter, you should see line items like this. You should see the OK show up this way. You should see your quantity, your each, right? Everything should be popped up like this. And then your Dallas plant and all of that stuff should be showing up like this, okay? So I am going to now, because I double checked all my work, I double checked to make sure my quantity was right. Okay, I have 15 items and I made sure this quantity was right. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to produce 10 bikes. So once you are done, if you hit enter and it looks like my screen, then you're going to hit post. And once you hit post, you'll see a material number at the bottom. Okay. So the material number is posted and everything should go away. That means now you should have inventory. So now in step 1.8, refer to a previous step for instructions on how to view your material inventory. Make sure you have the correct amount of inventory for each item. So let's go back. Where should we find, which one should we look at to tell us the inventory for one item? And what's the total dollar amount of touring frames read in inventory? So you have a couple of ways of doing this, right? So we can look at one item by looking at MMBE for stock overview. We could do a whole warehouse stock, right? So let's pick that one. Let's do all of the materials. So I'm going to do a star 098. I'm going to do my Dallas plant, and I'm going to do my storage location RM 98 because everything should be going to that storage location. So I'm going to pick execute, and you can see all of your stocks at your Dallas plant in the raw material area, and it will tell you, and you can double check because everything is in alphabetical order if you have the right quantity of everything that you need. Okay? And then when you get to the frames, you'll be able to see here's the touring frame. So you should have 10 touring frames. So that's the answer to 38. And what's the total US dollar value of touring frames read in inventory? So the total value is $2,000, right?